Scripted open mic session that is going to depend on its success or failure on all of you. We haven't really done this before, but we're going to try it. If nobody wants to say anything, the two of us will have a conversation together. So I came up with this idea that I will challenge you to try to explain some very difficult concepts that we have in Vedanta, especially with regard to what is meant by this term jiva. Okay? In Vedanta, we have a lot of very tricky terms. We like to have as many possible terms for a concept as possible to make things more confusing or to make them clearer. So we have jiva, we have jivatman, we have paramatman, we have atman, all these different terms, roughly referring to the person, the individual or the self with a capital S or with a small s. And we have all different conflicting views about different things. Is there only one? Are there many? Is this jiva brahmaiva naparaha? Is this jiva nothing but Brahman in disguise? When we look at the teaching of the scriptures, we'll have lots of different opportunities to see that we can find always find some example to boost our own theory about the nature of the individual self, this is jiva. So this is the question. I'll start with a few different proposals. First of all, what is this jiva that we talk about? Now it's up to, you have to, be a little bold. Who can give us a good definition of the jiva? Who said that? Okay, stand up. Okay, we need a mic. Okay. This is Lakshmi from Atlanta. Yes, Atlanta, Georgia. Yeah. Okay.
So it's the individual soul.
Individual soul. So that means that there are many of them.
That's a trick question. If we look at it from outside, then yes. But really,
Right? If the number means finite, if they're all individual things, if we have grains of sand, is there a finite number of grains of sand in the universe? Yeah, so we can't really say. And so who will go with the many souls theory and who will go with the one soul? One. So many jivas. Okay. And only one? One among many. One among many. Okay. Everybody who said one sit on this side, everybody said many sit on that side. Okay. So now, if we look at some of the illustrations that are given by Sri Ramakrishna, then and in the scriptures also, then we have to see. Some of them point to this idea of many jivas. And what is this jiva exactly? Or do they point to this idea of only one? Yes, Nomita.
No,
I saw your hand.
No, I have another question. That this jiva means you are including not just human being, just human, animal, insect,
Yes.
plant,
Yes.
everything, right?
Yeah.
So,
Whatever, jivati, whatever is living, yeah. Sajiva, that is it, that's it, jiva, yeah. You can clarify, yes. Yes. Clarify.
Swamiji, I'm going to use your example. Am I allowed to do that?
Oh, boy. Yeah.
When you came to Atlanta, you gave us the example of the sun reflecting on many parts,
Okay.
like a part of water.
Right.
So when you start removing, that's what I was thinking when I was saying many.
Okay.
So when you start removing each part and all that remains, initially we look at all these different parts and all the
Yes.
different reflections.
Yes.
When you start removing each part, all that remains is the real sun.
Yes.
So that's what I meant by the reflection of many,
Yes.
but then really and truly there is only one.
Okay. Yeah. Now, there's an illustration we get in the Kathopanishad. I will request Maharaj to explain this to us about the chariot.
In Kathopanishad, there is the story of allegory of chariot. This individual jiva
Okay.
is
Can I say something?
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
please,
yeah,
please.
yeah.
I'm sort of in an intermediate position.
Okay.
To me, the jivya is your soul,
Mhm.
but not your personality. To me, you have a personal self and a spiritual self. I believe in more than dualism, but less than non-dualism. I sort of feel like my spiritual self is either a projection of God or a part of God, but not identical with God. I know Vedanta has sort of 3 levels: dualism, qualified non-dualism, and non-dualism. And I guess people are allowed to pick whatever they're comfortable with.
Yes. Okay, before we finish, I'll get to this in-between theory, because I like that in-between theory. Yeah. Okay.
So the whole this body is supposed to be chariot. In Kathopanishad gets allegory, and where the intellect is the charioteer, and mind is the rein that controls the horses. So horses are walking on the road, which is what's called sense objects, and horses are the senses, and mind is the rein, and charioteer is the intellect. The one who sits in the chariot is jiva. He is the enjoyer. And if chariot is not running rightly, if intellect is lethargic and not controlling the mind, and mind is not controlling the horses, the chariot will go anywhere they like, and it may turn upside down, and jiva will not go to the goal that it wants to achieve in this life. So this chariot has to run well with the help of intellect controlling the mind, mind controlling the horses, horses running on the right path. So jiva as the master of chariot, the concept is there in Kathopanishad, the individual pure conscious being who is the master of this body, master of this body.
Now, if we look at this illustration, then if we have a dozen chariots, do we have a dozen jivas?
Yes.
Yes. And what happens when the passenger leaves the chariot? The jiva's out. Well, yeah, if he leaves the chariot, he's outside. Yeah. Yeah. Huh?
Chariot
So-
is then dead body, yeah.
Nobody to control it and it's kind of wrecked.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we can look at it in different ways. We can say if one attains the state of nirvikalpa samadhi, then we're disconnected to the chariot. We're neither in it or outside of it or something. The chariot may continue to exist. It may not exist anymore. So the jiva is something independent. Huh? But are there many of them? Say they all park together in the same parking lot, and they all get out of their different chariots. Will there be 12 different ones? Will they be identical? Will they be like identical twins? Will they only be one of them that seem to be divided among 12? Shukla Didi? There'll be only one. Okay. So then how does that one appear to be many?
She said reflected.
Like the reflection. Okay.
Or riding different chariots, they get a little trapped in those chariots.
They get trapped in the chariots. Yes. Yes. Okay. Now, if we look at some of the examples that Sri Ramakrishna gives. One is the example of the onion, and one is the example of the bell fruit. I will request Maharaj to explain the example of the bell fruit.
Bell fruit, the essence and real thing that we get from bell fruit is the flesh of the bell. To get the flesh of the bell, you discard the skin and the seeds. What remains is flesh, that is real bell fruit for the people who use it, eat it. But if you want to know the whole bell fruit, you cannot discard. You have to, together you have to weigh the seeds and the skin. All together make bell fruit. That is something, essence is there and it has some other associates, like seed and the skin. That is example of bell fruit. Then it becomes total.
Can anyone tell us what the hard outer shell stands for? Gross body, or
Animal kosha and Manomaya and Pranamaya kosha. No, Animal kosha. And Pranamaya kosha.
more than that. In Vedanta we have to account for three different things. One is Jagat, one is Jiva, and one is Brahman. So this will be Jagat. This will stand for this whole visible universe. And of course, from the microcosmic point of view, it can be this physical body. This is also true. And whose doctrine is this really? The doctrine of the bell fruit. Okay. Yes. And does Sri Ramakrishna, does he accept this doctrine? They say, according to this doctrine, the individual jivas are real. Does he accept this doctrine? He gives that example. Yes. Okay. Now, Maharaj, can you explain the example of the onion?
Now, of the onion you know that Sri Ramakrishna says, you want to find what is inside the onion, what is the essence of onion. Like bell fruit has flesh. And you want onion also to find some essence inside the onion. So you start removing the scales. You remove outer scales and then other you find more scales inside, you remove those. What is there inside? More scales. And finally all scales are removed. And what is there inside? Nothing. That is the example of onion.
So if we look at the innermost level of all the onions, we have, again, let's say we have 12 onions, and we peel off everything. Are there 12 individual souls left? No, only one, infinite space. So was Sri Ramakrishna a madman? Did he hold two conflicting points of view? One, that there are many jivas, and one, that there's no ultimate reality to this jiva. It's just because of the coverings. What do the coverings stand for? Pratibha? Now's your chance. What do the seeds of the onion, what do they stand for that you peel away one after the other? The koshas. Okay, what are the koshas?
Annamaya kosha,
Which is?
which is the outermost sheath, the body sheath.
Okay,
Then is the Pranamaya kosha.
okay,
Then is Manomaya
Hmm.
then Vijnanamaya Kosha,
Hmm.
then Anandamaya Kosha,
Okay,
and then the reality.
okay. Very good. So which one is right? Are there many? Is there only one? Huh? Both are right.
Depends on what stage of, your evolution you are on.
Hmm.
And what appeals to us? We could be a devotee and not a Vedanta.
Okay. So that means truth is dependent on what we like. Jotomo todopot. Oh. Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
Where the sanskar comes if we are only one?
Where does the samskar come if we're only one? Okay, Maharaj, you can answer.
So, though we are one, but we, as Bale fruit example came, we feel that we are many. And when we are many, we include, like bale fruit, we include shell and seeds. And sanskars are in that shell and seed. When we say I, then whole of bale fruit is there, individual in the microcosmic level. And samskaras are there in individual bale fruit, individual cell. So this is up to our individual idea of who is Jiva. That if we feel we are all individual, then we have all individual cycle, individual life, and then separately we die, and whatever we think that comes to our Jivatma as the samskaras, it comes and go, and you are reborn. Like that thing happens till we are in ignorance of Advaita. Until we know that we are all one and there is only one existence, then the samskaras, rebirth, individuality, that is all it feels that it is there. We are in that ignorance of that idea, we are always there. In Kathopanishad it is said, till we have that individual idea, that we are all individual self and we have own samskaras, we have own past karmas, we have own future life, then till then we have to accept birth and death. Mrityo samrityum apnoti ya iha naneva pashyati. We are seeing nana, we are seeing many. Till this vision of many is there, then samskaras are there, individual life is there, individual cycle is there, and rebirth is there. So, one who sees many, one who cannot comprehend the oneness of existence, for him or her, this continuation of rebirth will be there. So, ultimate, according to Kathopanishad, is one reality that appears as many. That is Advaita. So, for some Vishishta Advaita, as Ramanuja said, until then we feel like, because this is very experienceable, that we are individual. I think in one way, even Shankaracharya says in many places, you have to practice spirituality by yourself. Like if you are hungry, you have to eat. No other person can eat for you and appease your hunger. Like that, to evolve spirituality, only you can do. And you can attain to that state where you can feel that you are one with the existence. But you think you don't practice, and you think we are all one, or someone is practicing, and then we all will be mukta. What is the need of doing that? All is Advaita. That way there will be no mukti. Janma shatantarepi. So even in hundreds of lives there will be no mukti. So mukti has to be individually attempted, and when we realize oneness of existence, then there is mukti. So there is no way that we can just be lazy and say, oh, this is all, we are all one, and someone's mukti, we all will be mukti. Mukti doesn't happen that way.
So for us, there are many jivas, many atmas, right?
So far at this level, we have not realized oneness, we are individuals. But as Sri Ramakrishna said, Advaita Gyan Achale Vede Jaicha Taikoro. Tie the knowledge of Advaita in the corner of your cloth, and then you roam in the world. Then you do other works. So there is essential unity that we have not yet realized, but that is truth. We have not yet reached to understanding that position, so you work in this world understanding that we are all one. Yet you feel you are individual. But the truth is we are all one. I have not yet realized that. With that thought in background, idea in background, then work in the world. Always trying to express the oneness.
Like many bubbles between the sea water, I think like that. Is that true?
That is also an example, bubble and foam and waves.
Okay, now I would like to discuss the illustration of the two birds on the tree. This is something that we find in Mundaka Upanishad and also Shweta Upanishad, maybe another, I don't remember, but it's been quoted in the Upanishads. It actually belongs to a Rig Veda verse that talks about two birds on the same tree. Everyone know this thing? Swami Vivekananda turned it into a whole parable. But it talks about two birds. The tree will be this human body, we can say, and within us, we feel that there are two. That one is the one who is active and jumping from place to place and doing all sorts of things, and then there's another one who's watching us, quietly looking on. This is that what we can call the witness, we can say, or God dwelling within, however we want to look at it. So according to this, the lower bird goes about jumping around and eating the fruit. If some of it is sweet and some of it is very bitter. So Swamiji, he says that whenever the bird takes a bitter fruit, it looks up and sees the other bird. And this other bird is very majestic and calm and quiet and peaceful, magnificent. And not eating fruit, just simply observing and watching. So the lower bird feels some attraction and jumps up to a higher branch and then forgets and starts eating again the different fruit. As soon as it's a bitter fruit, a sweet fruit, then it doesn't care. Bitter fruit, then it looks up and it goes higher and higher and starts to feel its own individuality meld away and merges in the upper bird, but then realizes that it was the upper bird all along, seeing a reflection of itself. So it's not the lower self merging into the higher self, is not the individual merging into the absolute, not Jivatman merging into Paramatman, but realizing that it was that all along. So this is the parable. Now, according to the Upanishad itself, if we look at the verse that follows this, well, many of you have heard me say these many times. I know it'll be boring for you. But anyhow, if we look at the verse that follows it, it actually explains it from the point of view that the upper bird is Ishvara. And the lower bird, simply by seeing it and feeling the magnificence of it, that all of its grief is removed and gone. So the same illustration can be explained from a beautiful Advaitic point of view or from a dualistic point of view, and they don't really conflict with each other. This is the real thing, that there are different ways of looking at and explaining these things, and this relationship between lower self and higher self. See, we use dualistic language. Swamiji has one lecture entitled The Real and the Apparent Man. Are they two different people? There's only one. No. But when we falsely identify with lower things, then this is the apparent. See, this illustration of the onion, it's not simply that the self is within all of these sheaths, it's falsely identifying with them. So this is called this adhyasa. This is the main problem with that. Now, I want to get back to this in-between idea. Ed, this in-between idea. This is very interesting. We have different schools of Vedanta that we never study. Of course, we give emphasis to Advaita Vedanta, and then a little bit to Ramanuja. And the Madhva, we kind of say hello from a distance. We don't get too involved with the highly dualistic things. But there are different schools, Bhedavada schools. That means yes and no. That the relationship between the individual soul and the Supreme Soul is both a question of identity and difference. Both. And there's a school, Achintya Bheda Vada, that this defies logic. This relationship defies logic. We can't really say. And we have some illustrations that I like very much. I very often use this example of the horizon. Yeah. Now, first of all, there's no such thing as a horizon. That it's not something that we can ever reach. Say we're on board a ship and all we see is the sky and ocean, and there's a line in the distance we call the horizon. We can never go to it. The closer we get, it'll further away it is. It's not, there's no real line there. And if we say that apparent line, does it belong to the sky or does it belong to the water? Shukladi? Yeah. In between, or both, or neither. See, yeah. This is called tatastha. Tatastha is something that means lying on the bank. Tatastha Shakti, this Achintya Bhedavada school talks about that Brahman has three different Shaktis. One is this Bahiranga, that's responsible for this external universe, and this Antaranga, that's the real nature, Swarupa of Brahman, but this Jiva is right in between, that we can't say, is it 100%, does it belong to the Brahman, one with the Brahman, or is it part of this universe, or is it some combination? We can't really say. Now, somebody very cleverly brought up this Jyotama Totopat because she cheated, because I mentioned this last week. Was it last week? No, 2 weeks ago when I was in Atlanta. Now, what does Jyotama Totopat mean? Okay, but how would you really describe it? What is Thakur saying when he says Jyotama Totopat?
Every path takes you to the same goal.
And what are these paths?
Different religions have different paths. Practicing religion.
So any path to realize that. So, what is the meaning of mata? Mata has a very technical meaning. Yeah. Yeah, it goes somewhere between an opinion and a doctrine. Yeah, darshana, mata is also a darshana. It can be all of the schools of Vedanta, all of these are also considered matas. So when Sri Ramakrishna says that all these different, we can say spiritual attitudes or different doctrines and theories, he doesn't look upon them as any single one of them encompassing the truth of anything. They're all paths. So this is because after Jyotama Totopat, then he says, Tobe pot isho noi. Yeah, this is very important, but don't confuse this with the ultimate reality. So when I hear about these types of questions, that what is the real nature of the jiva, I don't look at it from that point of view. I say, what is the conception of the jiva in this particular school? What is the conception of the jiva in this other school? How do they look upon this question of one or many and all of that? Because the reality will always be something that stands apart and is separate and is absolute, as opposed to our opinion. What is our opinion with regard to these questions? Now, they're not all equal. that there may be crazy ideas and opinions about things, that they have to be logical and everything, but the different schools, say the schools that talk about many jivas, that they have advantages with regard to spiritual practice. This is why Sri Ramakrishna talks about this stick of ego, that seems to separate one side from the other. He said, yeah, it's a good thing. Yeah, to utilize this. So these are all different ways of approaching the truth, when in reality we can't say, we can't put into words, we can't explain the nature of these ultimate realities. Brahman ki mukhe bola jaye na, in Bengali, that Thakur says so many times, what Brahman is cannot be described in words. We can't utter with the tongue. We can't say what it really is. So I want to kind of end this, and of course we'll let Maharaj say something at the end, but with two examples that Sri Ramakrishna gives that I think were very, very helpful. One is the salt dal. Now, if we want to know, salt dal. So he says that there was a salt dal that wanted to measure the depth of the ocean. And as it gets closer and closer to the bottom, it starts to dissolve. By the time it gets to the bottom, there's no salt dal there anymore. Even if that salt dal can come back and reassemble itself, then it won't be able to say what it experienced at the bottom of the ocean. How many times Thakur tried to explain this nirvikalpa samadhi state? So we guess what that experience was like when we get back into this mindset. Now the other thing is this idea of the reflected sun. Now, some of you will remember, we just spoke about this in our Monday night class. Yeah. It's good that very few people attend that, so then it'll be something new for you. That Sri Ramakrishna is having a conversation with the devotees. One of them is Girish Ghosh. And he starts asking Girish. He says, Girish, if we have 10 containers filled with water, and the one sun is there, and the sun is being reflected in the containers of water, how many suns will you see? So what will be the answer?
10 plus 1.
Huh? 10 plus 1 equals what? 11. Okay. Then we break one. How many suns do we see? 10. So we break all of them but one. How many do we see? No. We break all of them except one. So there's one container. 1 plus 1? 2. Okay. Now, when we break the last container, how many suns do we see? Everybody? Everybody one. You're all wrong. You're all wrong. Okay. Anupadi, you got it.
Thakur said that there would be none.
No.
There is no reflection.
No, he doesn't say none. Yes. There's no one there to say. Yes. So it's neither one nor many, yeah. There's no one there to say at that point. But so the experience is something that defies words and explanations. We come back, see, this Ramanuja, we look upon him as a God-realized soul. But when you come back into the human mind, then it's back into interpretation.
Yeah, but they lived for 21 days after that. They could at least tell, no?
No, because they're not there. First of all, that 21 days, they're in that state. Only the body is living. No, but even Thakur, who the mind came back down, even he couldn't explain that way. Yeah. So, we choose. Yeah, when I said, a little jokingly, I said, that means we choose what we believe in. We do choose what we believe in. What appeals to us, this is what Thakur calls what? Ruchi Bheda. Okay? We all have different tastes. Huh? And what is the other thing that goes along with Ruchi Bheda? Hajam Shakti. Power of digestion. So it's not enough that we like pickled fish, we have to be able to digest it. Huh? Thakur says so. And what does he say after that example? I like all preparations of fish. So, was Thakur a non-dualist? Yes. Was he a qualified non-dualist? Yes. Was he a dualist? Yes. From different points of view. I've mentioned before this statement of Swami Paramesanandaji that in the Ramakrishna mission that we're Advaitavadins and Dvaitakarans. A very beautiful statement. That we accept the ultimate truth of oneness, but we live in this world of duality, and we act that way. And if we want to serve other people, we have to see them as feel one with them, but know that there are also separate living beings who have their own individual feelings and everything. So this can be explained, of course, by the different levels of Vyavaharika, Paramatika. The non-dualists have a way of explaining all of this. But the final truth is there's no final truth. This is why Thakur says that, yeah, we have to, these are questions of experience, of paroksanubhuti, and everything else falls under this category of mata, or mat in Bengali. That these are, and some are beautiful, highly and important. This is not to dismiss them. Very beautiful and important doctrines. For most of us, I think this non-dualism has some special appeal because of the brilliant logic of it and everything. But on the other hand, how many of us can feel that we can feel God dwelling in the other person? We can see that. But how many of us can feel that, no, I am that other person. I am the self in the other person. Very difficult. Yeah. So we pick something that not only makes sense, but appeals to us, and it for the level that we're at, it works for us. So this idea of jiva, all the ideas are nice. They're all appealing. And this is why that when Thakur, how many times he quotes Hanuman, that Deha Buddhya, when I think of myself as the body, then I'm a dualist. I like this master-servant relationship. If I think of myself as a jiva, then part and whole, Ramanuja. See, the three schools of Vedanta. When I think of myself as Atman, you and I are one and the same. And he says, this is my final opinion. All of them are true from different points of view. So there should be no quarrel among all the proponents of the different schools of Vedanta or different religions and everything with regard to these things. Okay, now I will request Maharaj to just sum up in final statement. Yeah, okay. We can understand, and it can appeal to us. If we understand really that everything that we take to be personal, everything we take to be part of our personality and individuality is a superimposition. If we really analyze this onion idea, this Panchakosha doctrine, then we realize the real self is nirguna. The real self is nothing to distinguish itself from anything else. Or if we realize that everything is the sun, there is no real reflection as anything separate from the one sun. We can really have some deep conviction about the truth of Advaita Vedanta. Not so much with regard to this mithya, this world is unreal. That's a different question. That's a little complicated question. But with regard to the individuality of the jiva, that we can really understand that everything that distinguishes us from somebody else is a superimposition. And that the real self, at least we can say the real self is one, and the source of it is one. Now, it's one because it's pure and empty. It's pure and empty, just like that clean mirror. There's the Sakshin, who was just this objective observer of everything, the real self that way. Yeah. So Maharaj, can you?
Is there any time frame, Maharaj, when we stay in each stage? It's like we are going nowhere. We keep saying this will happen.
There are two theories. One is that as we start out as dualists, Swamiji says, in this path of devotion, and this love is like a cord, and we get closer and closer, and we start to feel oneness and everything. Now, the dualist will that state of oneness, the dualist will say this is union. And the non-dualist will say it was oneness. Because there's nobody there at that point. We come back down and say, yes, I felt one with my beloved. And the non-dualist will say, I realize that I am that. I've been that all along. Because we're back into the mind a little bit, back into this relative world, back into Mata a little bit, that way. Good. Hi, Jeff. Our Dr. Jeffrey Long has come. Very good. Yes. Yeah.
So the difference between, say, a dualistic understanding of union and a non-dualist understanding of realization, could a good analogy be between saying the sun is rising and setting, or the earth is turning on its axis? These are ways of speaking about the same experience.
Yes. Yeah, it means that there's a little bit of relativity to every one of these doctrines. Yeah. So, Maharaj, we're getting late. So, yes, if you can sum things up a little bit for us.
So that's what, as Sri Ramakrishna said, I said, tie the knowledge of Advaita in your cloth and live in the world. If you live in duality, that's also, you should know that you are one, but you perceive world as many. And in our life also, we see that how if love can make us feel one. Like we have a child and you feel child's everything as your own. Child's little something pain happens, you feel pain in yourself and try to remove that pain. And yet we feel duality also. Suppose someone you love has headache. Now you don't apply the ointment on your head to cure that person's headache. You know there are two realities, but you feel the pain, that how much that person will be having the pain, and you try to remove the pain of that person. Though you feel two, but you have the same feeling like you have your own. Atma upammena sarvatra samam pasyati Arjuna. Feel everyone in the world like yourself, till you have realized all is one. Try to feel everyone has the same feeling as you have and treat them likewise. So that is the yogi that is said. And I like that one, that's a two-bird example, and from a Dvaita point of view also. I had not heard that. Beautiful. That as you look at the upper bird, and then you feel the joy and the peace just by looking at upper bird. You have not found your oneness with the upper bird. You have not found that only upper bird exists. You have still individuality. You still have your own being, own personality. And yet you feel so happy to see the bird which is calm and serene and doing nothing. And that is what the Ishvara is, concept of Ishvara. Just seeing Ishvara and trying to think of him makes us close to that ideal, that idea. And when ultimately you reach there and only one existence is there, that is the Advaita Anubhuti. But before that, even that, you find a lot of peace. That's what happens in our spiritual life, as Pratibhaji was saying, that where is the goal, where are we moving? So we are definitely moving towards that goal, living in this, trying to find that unity, not yet found, but we are definitely moving towards that realization that all is one, or to a realization God is becoming closer and closer to us. That is movement happening. It is not being known. We don't know. So Holy Mother used to say, if you are asleep and someone takes your whole bed and removes from your one place to another, you will not know that you are being moved. So that is our condition. So we are being moved, definitely moved forward and towards God and towards truth. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Maharaj, and thank you, everybody. I think it was successful, huh? The session was okay. I had my doubts, but okay. Very good. Oh. Yeah, you can clap. Now, we're a little bit late, so now is our time for tea break. So try to do it a little quickly. If we can start our session a little bit late, and then with permission of Swami Swahananda, we may shorten our session a little bit. But so everyone, please quickly go to the basement if you want a cup of tea or coffee or something, and then we'll meet back here as close to 3:15 as possible. I know you did.